Hi, this is the worst GD challenge you will ever see. Inspired heavily by a wheel I made earlier this year, and specifically the Elzuko Cookie List Wheel Challenge, both of which will be linked in the description. This is the Seal Cookie List Wheel 2. Unlike last time, I did not hold back on any of these picks. Last time, I kept it to one extreme, no platformers, only demons. That is changing this time around. Before we go into the list, however, let me just quickly explain the changes I made to this iteration of self-inflicted torture. If you're not interested in seeing everything that I changed from last time, you can go to the timestamp on screen right now. Last time, I only included one single extreme, being 80x. This time, we'll be lifting that restriction completely. This wheel is way harder and less accessible because of that. But if you really want an accessible version of the cookie list, you can always go to the first one, or I'll link a version without the extremes as well in the description down below. You won't have fun with either, I'll tell you that much. On top of that, I added both platformers and underrated non-demons to the wheel. And for those people that are like, whoa, I can't play platformer because I have a broken keyboard, I will also leave a version without the platformer levels in the description, just for those that are really against WASD. For a fully legitimate completion, you will still have to beat everything you haven't beaten on the wheel through the wheel, and deliver at least for almost all of them video footage. I know for example, platformers or levels you beat like 2 decennia ago, it's gonna be a bit harder. It's not that big of a deal, even though I would like you to deliver it. If there's one or two missing, I can let it slide, especially with the platformers. Like, we'll be able to figure something out. Nobody's gonna fucking beat this list anyway. The original Seal Cookie List wheel only had 3 victors in Cool Vlad, Kringles, and Becca GD. So let's see if we can get even less this time. Yeah! Alright, with all of that being said, let's go into the demon section. In-game rated non-platformer demons. Anything goes in this section, as long as they were not on Seal Cookie List 1, and I have personally beaten them. These will be mostly in chronological order of when I beat them, not in terms of difficulty. This goes for the entire list, including the later sections. Eden's Blessing. Really nice looking 2.1 subwoofer level with gameplay that, even by his standards, just does not hold up. The straight flying to 30s at the very ending are the worst offenders, though that is not because of a lack of trying by the other parts. SW50ZXJZDGVSBGFY by Mazel. Bad Mazel level, even though that's an oxymoron, with intentionally bad gameplay, annoying choke points, and in addition to all of that, odd memory adjacent sections, and a name that is just absolutely impossible to spell. The Flawless, the first extreme demon on the list. It's not. A bunch of decent ship gameplay followed by some dog shit timing gameplay. Drags out its runtime on several occasions and has received updates for years that do not adjust the quality or difficulty in any way, shape, or form. Sound Journey. Absolutely baffling duel level that is second half mega carried. Full of weird hitboxes and a duel that is so ridiculous it might as well be RNG. The ball parts do kinda kick ass though. Soulless. Absurdly skill-based hard/insane demon with a boring as shit beginning, buggy transitions, and a spider copter that makes you want to leave your soul behind. Extremely hard to take seriously as well. Destruction of God, my 100th insane demon and an absolutely perfect example of why playtesting became normal. Has some diabolical timings in the first half, including a frame-perfect spider input, and some quite frankly incomplete feeling flow gameplay, and boss fight in the second half, that you will have to turn on the LDMs for. On top of that, it's one of the longest levels on the wheel. Good luck. Love Baba, infamous Zobro turbo abortion that has one of the most rightful reputations in GD history, despite the second half looking like the... what the fuck? You'll struggle to get there in the first place due to the flooringly difficult and inconsistent nature of the first half, especially the UFO. Icar 2. Early 2.0 super trash with some strange balancing, buggy gameplay, and a boss fight that is about as much fun as electrocuting your nutsack off. Has a really stupid pre-drop as well on top of all of that. Journey into Sound. Plays like a buffed 6-star. Looks like a buffed 6-star. Somehow isn't actually a buffed 6-star. Slaughterhouse. Havoc's most infamous work, maybe besides Formula X, features some strange early 2.0 gameplay I could only describe as avant-garde, and once again features torturous UFO and ship parts. is not fun in any capacity either. Theory Park, finally something easier. 2.2 bugged Ancient Easy Demon that was never good, but now has a single click carrying its legacy. Really unremarkable besides that fact. Doctor Killer, stupid dumb medium demon famously stuck around the 0 like range. This features some very hack-verified gameplay and balancing. Quite of its time besides that. Also supports the Maha movement. Blood Prophecy, one of the worst medium demons in the entire game. This thing fits into the basket of choke point gameplay, despite it being ridiculously first half carried. Looks fucking vile too. What the shit? Skrrr. Second half heavy spam extreme demon, famous for not working and being absolutely fantastically synced for some godforsaken reason. Features some completely flooring gameplay like these dash orbs in the wave, and this stupid duel. Uses the song you'd expect it to use. Tech Manifestation, completely unplaytested mess with some of the worst hitboxes of any level you will ever play, and a comedically effective ULDM. Spawned the Tech Manifestation potion, so it's technically just too good to be on the wheel, but I still put it on there just because, like, it wanted to really badly. Also, the hitboxes in this fucking blow. Demonic Mourning, somehow probably one of the more playable medium demons on the list, features ridiculously unbalanced gameplay and weird choices all around. Makes your mourning demonic. Electric Fortress, the single best example of 2.1 early Mega Collapse Syndrome you will ever play, especially around this difficulty range. One of my personal biggest guilty pleasures. Foxtail Socks, inexcusable early and disliked heart demon with a UFO that makes people watching me play it physically tense, plus a completely ridiculous first cube. Does not improve to any kind of notable degree besides that. Hypocrisy, absolutely diabolical funny game boss fight level that is basically a heavenly version of Proxima. This is not a good thing. This is absolutely catastrophic, in fact. At least it looks kinda cool, I guess. Why? Awful attempt at a remake of X by Triaxis due to both this seemingly random buffing choices and some dog shit hitboxes. This just makes me ask, how? Elemental Stones, Mazel level that has some annoying bits but is mostly known and notable due to the unbelievably bad wave part. Looks as ugly as the wave plays too, so there's literally just nothing good here. Deadlocked V2 by Dasher. This lists Deadlocked V2. It is not as bad as the one by Small, but it still gives it a trot for its money for sure. It amplifies every problem one could have with Deadlocked and adds more of its own just to be sure that even Deadlocked enjoyers like me will want to drown in motor oil. EVACUATION. Inexcusable HDL level with a frame-perfect dual robot jump in the middle, slow bugs, and balancing generally made to be as frustrating and hair-ripping as physically possible. The beginning being as dull and boring as it is does not help this matter. Red World, oldest extreme demon in the game, features some of the most second-half heavy gameplay to ever grace the Dashlands, plus the first swingcopter parts. The Lost Ship in particular is absolutely diabolical. Red World Rebirth, remake of Red World that somehow makes it more annoying. Balancing is generally similar, though less extreme. That being said, the beginning 50% are now actually difficult. And the swingcopters, plus middle ship part, were buffed to an insufferable degree without compensating enough with the final ship. I called Rhythmland I. Sync-based pre-1.9 rotten placenta that ends with math. Hurts the head to play for longer periods of time and hurts the head to get unlucky on due to the impossibly hard questions at the end. Mine. Ryan AB level that has got to be the single laziest themed level of all time. Has a notably stupid song that makes me laugh the entire time while playing it. Also, the gameplay is not worth it. Biru by Jonathan GD, the first and not last Jonathan GD level on this list. A complete drag from zero and features an extension that should have never been added. A personal least favorite of mine. Beyond the Nature by Jonathan GD, second Jonathan GD level on the list. Extremely whack early 2.0 Jonathan masterpiece with some of the worst robot and UFO gameplay to ever grace Brazil. Has some annoying bugs aside of that too. Rambreaker, third and final Jonathan GD level on the list, and also the worst one. features insufferable gameplay that only mobile players have ever enjoyed. Plus, it's no easy task to beat either. Final Redux by Manix. Weird and funny 2.0 level with insane duels and clubstep monsters that look like Guy Fieri. Insanely buggy, as to be expected by Manix. Toyless. Not nearly as awful in the gameplay department as the rest, but features an LDM guide that will never fail to confuse the living shit out of me. First of the year. Dogshit Easy Demon with a nong that is literally worse than the original replacement song. Aside from that, the gameplay is put together using bubblegum and wrappers, meaning it breaks and bugs in different ways every single time you play it. Skrillex would be so proud. Homicide! Collect the evidence, fuckhead. Rush! Easy demon that is so ridiculously boring from zero that it should be illegal. Manix, the Kermal one. One of the run killers for most. The invisible Manix does not work at the best of times, let alone the worst of times. The beginning is harder due to 2x2, and the ending is harder because it sucks ass. Features some diabolical coins as well for those greedy bastards out there. The ultimate phase! Classic 1.9 extreme demon that was ruined due to a buff date. Features ridiculously awkward ship gameplay, duels that take decades to learn, and vomit-worthy middle sections made by Woogie and Zobros that will make sure this is the most insufferable possible experience. Violently X! Dorami Super Peak from, just take a guess when, that has a buggy as shit pre-drop cube courtesy of Castrix and only becomes hard at the drop. Also possibly the single ugliest level ever made, though that almost adds to the raw aura that it gives off. Panasonic! Television-themed pedophile Sonic level ripoff thingy that is so awful in every single aspect that is not Starship's part that I don't feel like I could do it justice in just this very small segment. Balancing-wise, the equivalent of a randomly generated binary string with flooringly bad cohesion and transitions. My personal pick for the worst level on the entire list, including the previous list. Annihilation Nation. Beyond ridiculous spam extreme demon made by Xylonox that is infamous for looking like sex, playing like HIV, and having AIDS balancing. Should have used a condom, I guess. Easily the most physically taxing level on the wheel, but gets most of its notoriety due to the insanely hard wave in the second half. The Hell Dignity. Hell series level with dumb choke points, stupidly creative timings for how old the layout is, and becomes mind-numbingly boring from zero due to being ridiculously front-loaded. By far the hardest ball gameplay on the wheel and the only one to feature several frame perfects. Excellent! The last 5 classic demons, which I beat before some of the other ones I just mentioned, are all 5 Spectro demons. Let's just go through them one by one real quick. First is Effid, which has a stupidly annoying ship, hard wave, but most of all, a ridiculously buggy cube part that takes more attempts to learn than it does to beat the entire rest of the level. Landect. This is truly the 2.0 level of all time. It features everything you would not want in a level, including a ridiculously awful last jump, dumbass wave parts, and this stupid fucking ship leading into this stupid fucking RNG bug. Certified Wiki Demon. Voxius. The most unbalanced of Spectro level, with the only truly hard part being this stupid fucking wave. Besides that, it's a bunch of slightly annoying and soul-crushingly boring gameplay that is only there to pad the runtime. Bellic! Freaky Bellic! I think this level contains more than that, but that is all you need to see to know what this level is like. Finally, we have Fexty. Besides being the only extreme demon I don't have footage of me beating, this is the hardest of all of Spectro waves, with not even close to his hardest gameplay aside of that. The first ship does blow ass as well, though. Underrated non-demons. In-game rated non-demons, but only non-demons hard enough to be demon, will appear on this list. This prevents shit like Yoi did appearing on the list 5 times. This is a quick legend, so you know what the amount of horns mean on all of the difficulty phases. Don't rate this level. Tier 5 underrated heart level that was made to jab at shitty rated level tropes of the era. Did too good of a job. Features this fucking wave at the end too, as a way to rub salt in the already rotting flesh wound. Gravity -0. Possibly the single worst swingcopter gameplay ever. Just decides to not work sometimes because go fuck yourself. Thankfully it is super short, but somehow it still becomes a massive drag. Piano and back. Gimmick level about doing the same part twice, once forwards and once backwards. The execution has led to the execution of its creator. Story madness. Absolutely vomit-inducing excuse for gameplay, and my personal pick for the hardest heart rated level in the entire game. This stupid fucking sack of shit feels about as heck updated as it was. Has a grand total of 0 saving graces because somehow even the song is a story of madness. Whirl. Weird 2.1 level with a lot of moving objects and ridiculously hard wave gameplay that has no reason to exist. Doesn't even look remotely cool either. Avoidster. 3.5 minute long tier 5 underrated harder level that features unaligned ship gimmick gameplay far too hard to become truly consistent. Only becomes truly hard later in the level too, so it also drags the fuck on. Hologram Flappy, the worst Flappy Bird level ever created, with nausea-inducing decoration and several hitbox and decoration errors that make the level only that much more unhinged. The 3x speed parts in particular can go fuck themselves. Moderatio, quite possibly the single worst modern style level ever created, featuring gameplay so unclear and awkward that it almost underscores the fake shakes and insufferable ship gimmick part near the end. Monody Aura, completely unhinged 2.0 level featuring moving object gameplay that Satan couldn't even dream of. Happy Flying, insanely hard ship challenge from the ancient days, gets annoying really quickly, and is absolutely impossibly hard on low refresh rates. Saying this makes players happy is considered a lie on the same level as the Epstein files. Classical, short and extremely annoying 9 circles level with a familiar name, gets insanely annoying insanely quickly due to several inconsistent spam sections. Platformers. In-game rated platformer demons. Anything that fits that description goes. Though I am kind of booty ass at platformers, so the levels in this section are more really bad than really hard. Slope Rush. Ugly slope abusing platformer level that is supposed to be a getting over it level, but somehow still fights a way to reliably kill you. Gets harder and less functional as it goes too. Kitchen Roll. Extremely annoying and inconsistent level that looks like ass on top of that. Should probably be promoted to Medium Demon due to the sheer lack of good gameplay and checkpoints. The Golem Temple. Kinda really funny waiting simulator in the first half and featuring the world's worst boss fight and the literal only time that Golem is even a remote challenge. This level has aura. Speedrun Temple. One of several annoying and terrible speedrun levels, this one features a waiting element with these obnoxious as shit fire bars and timer that bugs out in practice mode. Dungeon Run. Another terrible speedrun level, this time with a ridiculously tight timer and equally as annoying gameplay if not more so than Speedrun Temple. These levels almost always suck complete cock and balls for a reason, guys! Panapap. Weird early 2x2 platformer by Catalysm, looks like artificial ideology from Dollar Tree, and has gameplay matching that description as well. Generic wave level. I don't know how this one plays, because the only way to beat this bullshit is just to follow a walkthrough. Just Google it, and then you get like a thingy. Yeah, cool. Somehow it was still annoying even while doing that due to an unnecessary timer element. Drift or Die. I'd rather die. Sync-based auto-scroller using quite possibly the most annoying funk song I have ever heard. This thing has no functional parts and is way too tight and buggy for its difficulty range. Possibly my least favorite easy demon regardless of platformer or not. Stinky Shafts. In fact, very stinky. Due to a water rising element you can fuck yourself over with if you activate checkpoints late. Gets extremely easy after one specifically annoying as Balls Room. It looks stinky too. Bustling Blocks. Literally unfinished tower level with some atrocious gameplay fixing and a gimmick that is cooler in concept than in execution. Feels kinda really fake to play. R-Type. Makes me want to say the hard Unreal shooter where you move automatically and you can't move forward or backward. Would honestly be fine if enemies couldn't shoot straight up! Becomes kinda like a gambling simulator because of that. Granite. Sleep Medicine J-Stab level with completely ridiculous spawning patterns that make it feel impossible at times. Gets so unbelievably ridiculously boring from zero that it should be illegal. 60 Seconds, another speedrunner platformer where you need to have 10 seconds remaining when at the end due to a really poorly executed ending animation. Features diabolically evil coins to boot. You have 86 seconds. Carpal tunnel simulator that fucks you over 5 checkpoints in for fucking up the first 2. Another contender for the single worst rated easy demon and honestly should either be uprated or unrated. I prefer the latter. Hole in the Wall, the worst of both worlds. A platformer auto-scroller with gameplay that feels like regular classic mode if it was AIDS. Also, it looks like ass and only becomes harder in the second half despite not having any checkpoints, making it a sleep medicine simulator. The Secret Plan, one of the rawest rated levels in the entire game, featuring a really buggy floor climbing gimmick with enemies that don't take damage half the time they should. Becomes atrociously annoying at the final bosses that you just have to play to understand. Overgrown Garden, very buggy gimmick platformer that needed more time in the oven. If it wasn't for the ending, this would honestly not be on the list. Blue Spheres 3D, randomly generated Sonic bonus stage gimmick level with quite simply inexcusable gameplay due to the RNG factor caused by the lack of being able to move back. Once again, it has infuriating coins. This could literally be the easiest or the hardest platformer on the list, depending on luck too, so that's just absolutely fantastic. Automathorium, the worst platformer level in the entire game, featuring gameplay so bad and spammy that most people way better at the game still drop this. Lags like nothing else I have ever seen on full detail mode as well. From the start, Kringles put it best on this one. Please sync better. Besides that, it has a somewhat decent song, but some of the hold clicks in particular being dependent on the first input is infuriatingly annoying. Having no checkpoints also does not help. Industrial, my single least favorite platformer. This is a really poorly designed dash gimmick level where the entire gimmick barely fucking functions. Becomes excessively more annoying nearing the end as well for added flair. And finally, the very last level, Logotomy. One of the worst boss fights I have ever had to deal with. This thing features undodgeable attacks, stupid boss movement, and a final attack that happens after the boss should have died. Not to mention that the final attack is the hardest part of the entire fucking level. Perfect way to end this wheel, I'd say. For anybody that's actually gonna try this, good fucking luck. Beating this entire wheel is probably mentally more draining than beating a list demon. So if you are up to the task, be sure to give any of the versions a try. Will there be an eventual threequel on the Seal Cookie list? Well, that's for next time.